Looking back, it seems like Sega always wanted to make a good Sonic racing game. Sadly, their endeavors were unfruitful. First, there was Sonic Drift. It sucked, so they made a sequel. It sucked too. Then there was Sonic R. No comment. Let's skip the mobile games and rivals and bring up the Riders series real quick. Since none of those games came in a compilation disc, I don't own any of them. See how quick that was? But before the Riders series, Sega made a crossover game with some of their key franchises. It was Sega Superstars for the PlayStation 2 iToy in 2004. Then 4 years later, Sega decided to make another crossover game called Sega Superstars Tennis. Then Sega decided to make their crossover franchise into a racing game with Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing in 2010. See, we brought ourselves back to racing. That's called full circle. Now we come to 2012, where Sega made Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transform. The transforming coming from the fact that your cars can now turn into boats and aircrafts. Based on the concept, people were already saying that this game just flat out took the ideas of racing in the air and water and labeled it a ripoff of Mario Kart 7, because obviously no other racing game ever did that! Since there wasn't a Mario Kart or any other racing game for the console at the launch, I decided to pick it up. After all, it was only $40 and had online and offline multiplayer modes, so the replay value looked great! But is the online mode, and the rest of the game for that matter, any good? Let's find out. Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, which I'll just call Sonic Racing T for short, doesn't have a story mode, but there are 4 different modes to race around it. The first is World Tour, which acts like a mission mode. No! Yeah, I know, Sega hasn't exactly been the best with mission modes, but somehow they, or should I say Sumo, found a way to make them fun and challenging. There's traditional racing in the Grand Prix, the multiplayer mode for offline and online races or battles, single tracks, and time attack, which is used for beating the staff ghosts. I can admit that it's hard to make yourself feel different from the current king of kart racers, Mario Kart, especially since it takes a lot of ideas from Nintendo. However, it doesn't bother me as long as the game takes those ideas and expands on them, or makes it feel like it's its own game. For example, you can drift in Mario Kart, usually up to drift level 2. Sonic Racing T lets you do 3, and you can even switch the drift, allowing you to save your drift while turning. Mario Kart lets you do a trick when you're in the air. Sonic Racing 2 lets you do multiple tricks for a better speed boost, assuming you didn't screw it up. Mario Kart lets you get a speed boost at the start. Sonic Racing T lets you do a triple speed boost. Some Mario Kart games had coins to collect for different reasons. Sonic Racing T lets you gamble with them for extra bonuses in the race. Finally, Mario Kart 7 lets you drive underwater and lets you hang glide. Sonic Racing T changes the vehicle completely when you go through a giant blue ring. The vehicles also have a different control and feel for each one, as well as a different speed. By that I mean boats are the slowest and most difficult to handle, and aircrafts are the fastest, and if you do a trick to avoid hitting something, you'll get a boost called Risk Boost. You have no idea how cool this feels. Much like any other kart racer, you can get weapons by running into these capsules. You have the straight shooters, the one that bounces off the walls, heat seekers, speed boosts, and the ones best used for blocking. Now for some of the more interesting and creative ones, like the glove that blocks attacks and can even give you that item to use. Hot rods act like a boost item, but it has a gauge. The longer it goes, the faster you move. But if it goes past the red zone, then it blows up, causing you to spin out. You can release it at any time, and when you do, it lets out a fire wave, so it acts as both a speed boost and an attack. A 2-in-1 combo. What's not to like? You know, except for when it happens to you. The Twister is one of the more creative weapons in the game. Instead of slowing an opponent down, it flips them, meaning it now reverses their left and right controls. It wears off after a while, or until you hit a wall, you know, whichever comes first. The All-Star is basically the invincibility, but depending on who you play as, changes the theme music and gives them a different attack. Sorry guys, I'm not going to list what everyone does, cause that's overkill. You'll have to experience it yourself. Finally, there's this game's version of a leader shell. No! Would you guys just wait? These Hornets or Sky Tigers seek out the leader, but instead of attacking the person head-on, they spread out and act as obstacles that can even affect other racers who hit them. This is brilliant! I hate the leader shell in Mario Kart because it's so difficult to avoid and can screw you over at the last minute. But here, if you're good enough, you can make it through without taking a scratch. Having skills for the win! Luck can bite me. The courses are something to gaze and marvel at. Not only because they look amazing, but because the cars can transform, it also means the courses can change as well. The stage based on the Panzer Dragoon series is a perfect example of this, and it's why it's my favorite. All 3 labs are different, changing each time to focus more on the other crafts, from car to boat to flight. Another one of my favorites is the Knights level, where if you fly through the rings, you'll get an extra speed boost. While a lot of the levels have boosts all over the place, this one just makes sense. If you've played the Knights games, that is. Sadly, not all the courses can be this good, but it's hard to find a poorly done course. Not to mention there's a number of Sega franchise games, even if there's not a character to represent them. From the mini Sonic choruses to Billy Hatcher, from Samba de Amigo to Panzer Dragoon, From Knights to Burning Rangers and Shinobi and Jet Set Radio. Hey, is that Namjoon Town? I was there when I was in Japan on vacation. It was the first time I had sea salt ice cream. Oh wait, it's owned by Namco. Never mind. The big problem with this is the fact that because of how good this game is and how well designed these courses are, that now Sega is going to have a bunch of whiny fans constantly saying, make another Billy Hatcher Sega, make another Burning Ranger Sega, make another Skies of Arcadia Sega, and you know what? I'm going to join in on that. Make another Knights and Panzer Dragoon Sega, because I want you to take my money. So what does Sonic Racing T do right? Almost everything! The courses are excellently designed, showing a great sense of creativity and making the most out of the series they are based on. The racers can level up and earn different mods that change the stats of the car, giving the player a little customization. Sure, you have to unlock them, but you earn experience after everything you've done, even after the online races, so you'll be able to unlock them very quickly, especially on the harder difficulty settings where you earn more points. This may seem a bit tedious to some, but I actually had fun trying to get all the mods. However, there is one mod that you have to unlock from the World Tour, aka Mission Mode, but I have to say these missions are actually kind of fun to play, and actually show a good amount of variety for a kart racing game. I won't go through the whole list, so I'll just bring up some of the ones that I liked, even though they could give me a lot of trouble. Traffic Attack is where you reach all the checkpoints while dodging traffic. This can be painful, but the ones where you can use items make them feel so, I'll just say, vengeful-tastic! Alright, I'll teach you, you stupid blue car always trying to intentionally block me! Drift mode is where you clear a certain amount of check marks with a limited time, but the more you drift in specific areas, the more time you get. And try to destroy a tank while watching out for its backfire. Each time you clear a mission, you're rewarded star points that can unlock more mods and even unlock characters. And the harder the difficulty setting is, the more you get. As I said earlier, there are no leader shells, and the fact that you can get up to 3 boosts if you pull off 3 tricks in the air makes this game feel more like it's based on skill rather than luck. Very rarely will you feel like you got cheated out of first place at the last second because of a constant parade of leader shells, lightning bolts, red shells, and anything else Mario Kart could throw at you. What you have is a well-balanced arcade-style racing game that relies more on skill than luck to win, with a great cast of racers and tracks, fun mission modes, and emphasis on speed, and the online racing mode is actually very good. However, you should know about some of its ugly sides. Sadly, that online mode doesn't let you join up with friends and race against random players, letting more people play. It's either race against your friends or total strangers. Not both. A minor complaint, but it is something I would like them to do for the next installment. The enemy AI is only set on rubber band to the maximum, except on some courses, and except for Alex Kidd, who usually just gets stuck somewhere. I've also noticed a couple of glitches, such as this one time where the blue ring forgot to transform me into a boat. I had to restart the race because it refused to transform me the whole time, but it only happened during that one race. The others I've seen happen consistently on version 1.1.1. Such as the part after Wiseman on the night stage, the portal here seems to throw you against the wall even if you're going straight. Not to mention the hit detection seems rather odd, as you can fly through these structures without a problem all the time, and then come across this one that will make you want to hit the brakes instead of doing tricks to get a speed boost. Please fix these in an update, Sega. Or you know what, please don't, because I feel that's the biggest problem with the game. One of the first updates the game had actually made it impossible to clear the boost challenges. And I don't mean, oh, it's so hard, I tried, but I just can't do it. I mean, it was literally impossible because they took out the checkpoints so you could never clear them. They made an update to fix that, but then I noticed that on the Traffic Attack S rank on the Dragoon level, on exactly the 7th checkpoint, the time bonus cars and the checkpoint do not give you any time bonuses at all, making it feel impossible. So it kind of feels like for every update it fixes something, it also makes a new problem. Who's programming these updates? A bunch of monkeys? Or worse, Nexon? Sonic Racing T puts up quite a good run. The courses are creative and fun, the leveling up can feel a little addictive at times, the online mode is solid, though it does suck having to wait for everyone. The weapons feel creative, it relies more on skill and speed to win rather than luck, and it's actually a cheap price for being a new game. Sure, the items don't seem to matter what place you're in, but I did notice that you can get the more advanced version of the weapon the lower the rank you're in, so that's kind of nice. Sadly, with those bizarre updates that can really mess up the game sometimes, it's hard to give it my highest recommendation level, which is a huge shame since it's so much fun to play. Maybe when those updates stop screwing things up, my recommendation can finally reach that point. Until then, a 4 out of 5. A couple of flaws, but overall, a good game.
I'm loving the sound of my own voice. Shame on you! Don't do this to me! This is my only job! No!